All right, we're going to mute everybody and we'll get going. All right, so take a comfortable seat. We're focusing this week on pulsations. And one of the things that I think about is that no matter what the yoga pose is, it's never a static pose. Even when we come to Shavasana, or even when we come to a seated position, say if you're sitting to meditate, there's always that initial moment of moving around in a pretty big way, but then eventually you come to a little bit of stillness. But even in that stillness, there's pulsation. Even if it's only the breath, right? The pulsations of the breath are happening all the time, we hope, right? So the inhales and the exhales are a really obvious pulsation, but within the inhales and exhales, because that is the tool of the pulsations, you have the opportunity to shift. You have the opportunity to notice and make changes for what it is that you need, okay? And so as you come to this comfortable seat, take a moment to make big shifts, big movements, and even exaggerate some movements, maybe through the hips, through the sides, maybe through the shoulders, the head, the neck. And then as you start to slow those movements down and start to find more of a still place in your seat, just keep that in mind, that no pose is completely static, that there is some movement and there's a reason for that. That A, there's the breath, and B, energy isn't static. Energy doesn't move in one particular way, and it's always moving. And so as you let your eyes close, without purposely trying to make any movements, just notice how your body naturally shifts and moves with the pulsations of your breath. Notice whatever the sensations are of energy in the body. And sometimes that's hard to sense if you're not used to sensing your own life force energy. Couple more deep breaths, sensing whatever it is that is pulsating for you. Then as you bring hands to connected heart center, direct that pulsation a little bit. Use your inhales to sit a little taller. Use your exhales to root, to ground. Then on your next exhale, bow toward your heart. And then softly open your eyes, release your hands down, and gently bring a little bit of movement here through the shoulders, through the head and neck again. Sensing for yourself whatever is there through your body for sensation, for stiffness, for aches. And then coming back to center now. As you inhale and stretch up arms overhead, let your whole front body lift. As you exhale, engage the low belly, the low ribs, bring hands to heart center. We're gonna do this again. Inhale, expand, lengthen through the spine, reach arms up. Exhale, engage the core, bring hands to your heart. So big pulsations here. Inhale, stretch up, and exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, stretch up overhead, and exhale, take right wrist and stretch to the left side. Full inhale, expand your ribs more. Exhale, root through your sitting bones. Inhale, rise back up long through the spine, switch wrists. Exhale, over to the right side. Inhale, lengthen and expand. Exhale, root through sitting bones. Inhale, rise back up, releasing the hands, press fingertips into the ground, take a big inhale and lift up taller. Exhale, walk your hands out in front and take as deep a fold as your body needs. Feel free to add a prop underneath your elbows here if you would like, or you can set your head all the way down onto something. But take a couple big breaths here and find some pulsations in the body. Find some shifts, some movement with the breath. And then after a few good-sized pulsations, let yourself settle in so that maybe the only thing you sense for pulsations is the breath. Then inhale, gently bring yourself back upright. Switch the cross of your legs. And then move your sitting bones, move them back and broad. And now inhale, stretch up overhead with your arms. And exhale, hands come to your heart. So we'll do this 2 more times. Inhale, lengthen your sides, lift through the spine. Exhale, engage through the core, hands to heart center. Inhale, stretch up. And exhale, hands to your heart. Now inhale, stretch up. And as you take a hold of your right wrist and stretch over to the left side, root down through your sitting bones. Take another big breath and let the pulsations of your breath expand you more. Maybe you side stretch a tiny bit more. Next exhale, turn your torso a little downward so that your right shoulder is turning downward. You're pulling in the diagonal to the left side. Take a big, deep breath here. Inhale, rise back up, switching wrists. Exhale, over to the right side. And then as you root through sitting bones and expand with your breath, exhale, turn your left shoulder downward and allow that reach in the right diagonal. Inhale, back upright, release your wrists. Press fingertips down into the floor beside you. Lift your ribs, your chest, your heart. And this time, walk your hands behind you and press down. Expand and open through the heart space. Shoulder blades engage onto your back. Take a full big breath and notice what the pulsations do for you here. If you expand your breath into your back body, you might feel a little bit more supported in the low back and this little bit of a back bend. Then gently inhale and rise all the way back up. Hands work out to your knees. And exhale, press back through your spine, chin tucks in, a little bit of a cat pose. Take a couple big breaths and feel the pulsations of your breath here on the back body. Inhale, sit tall, and now shift forward onto hands and knees. And from hands and knees, set yourself up. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And as you push through your hands, rotate elbow pits forward and expand into the upper back. Tuck toes under and lift hips up and back, downward facing dog pose. And then take a moment here to shift and move. Allow the pulsations of your breath to help you to find more space. And then as you come to more of a place of stillness in your down dog, take another big breath and let the pulsations happen more naturally with just the breath. And then walk your way forward, coming into your forward fold at the front of your mat. Blocks for hands here if you would like. Feet are inner hip distance apart or wider, your choice. Take an inhale and lengthen partway. Extend your heart, send your sitting bones up. Full exhale, engage the low belly and the low ribs, still lifted here. Inhale, think of ribs and hip bones moving apart from each other. Grow longer through the front. Exhale, engage. Think of cinching in through the core. One more time this way. Inhale and exhale. Then walk your hands up your legs, rising all the way up to stand. And then feet are inner hip distance apart and parallel. Lift and spread your toes. And then from the glutes, bend your knees and then root, push into the ground. Inhale, stretch up. Exhale, bend knees, fold over your legs. Inhale, lengthen part way. And exhale, fold. Plant fingertips, step right foot back into your lunge, right knee down to the ground. Center with your hips and inhale, stretch up. Exhale, engage the low belly and the low ribs. Inhale, lift your ribs higher. Exhale, engage through the core. Work with the breath for a couple more pulsations there, finding more length and engagement. Then exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat. Walk them to the inside. And from this place, lift your back knee. And you're going to turn and plant your back heel so that your foot's parallel to the back of your mat. You have hands up on blocks if you want, or down on the ground, whichever feels the best. But bend into your front knee so that you have a stacked place for your front shin. Left arm is right up against your leg here if that's comfortable, and then wrap your glute down and under on your left leg. Take an inhale, expand your front, grow longer. Exhale, engage through the core. Inhale longer, one more time. Exhale, engage through the core. Now inhale, extend your heart. Pivot further on your feet to come to that wide stance fold facing the right side. Take a look at the outside edges of your feet and bring them to parallel to each other. Lift and spread your toes, lift your arches up, and exhale. Hinge from the hips and fold as deeply as your body needs, keeping a little micro bend in your knees. Send sitting bones up on your next inhale. On your next exhale, maybe fold a little bit deeper. Maybe stay a little lifted, your choice. Find what those pulsations look like for you. Work with your breath. Find an inhale for length. Exhale, engage through the core. Inhale for length, sitting bones lift, ribs move forward. Exhale, engage through the core. Now inhale, extend your heart. Exhale, pivot toward the front of your mat and step back. Downward facing dog pose. Take a full big breath here. Inhale, come forward into your plank. You're welcome to use knees on the ground. That's always an option. Rotate elbow pits forward and push. And then as you inhale, extend your front. Draw collarbones forward, front ribs forward, but stay engaged through the core. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Take a full big breath. Now, same thing here. We're moving hip bones and ribs away from each other. So bend your knees, tilt sitting bones up, move your front ribs forward. Then exhale, engage through the core. Low belly, low ribs lift. And now walk forward, coming into your forward fold at the front of your mat. Take an inhale and lengthen part way, long spine. Pause here without folding in. Exhale, engage through the core. Inhale, find more length. Exhale, engage. Then walk your way up your legs to rise all the way up. I promise we'll come to the second side in a moment. So find your balance onto your left foot. Bring your right knee into your hands and lift your chest up high. Lift your heart up high. Flex your foot and wrap your hip down on your lifted leg. Now, think of your torso getting longer as you inhale. Exhale, engage through the core. And then inhale, open it up. Take a big deep breath, lift your chest. Full inhale. Exhale, engage through the core. Good. Inhale back into center. Exhale, release your foot down. And then find your balance onto your right foot. Lift your left knee into your chest. And from this place, flex your foot. And then pause. Think of that space between your hip bones and your ribs. Take an inhale. And exhale, engage through the core. Inhale, lengthen. Open your knee up. Exhale, engage through the core. Good. One more inhale. Exhale, engage. Draw your knee back into center and set your foot back down. And now feet inner hip distance apart and parallel. And now think of that distance between your hip bones and your ribs. Inhale, grow longer, stretch up. Exhale, engage through the core. Low belly, low ribs in. Inhale, lengthen more. Exhale, bend knees and fold over your legs. Inhale, lengthen. Find that distance again through the front. Exhale and fold. Plant fingertips, step left foot back into your lunge, left knee to the ground, center with your hips, and then inhale, lift up. Exhale, engage through the core. Inhale, stretch up, lengthen your front. Exhale, tone, so you're supporting the back body. Take one more big inhale. And exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat. Walk your hands to the inside. And from this place, pick your back knee up and turn and plant your back heel. And now with your right arm right up against your right leg, you're helping it to turn open, but even more so, work the glute. Your glute wrapping down and under helps your knee turn more toward your pinky toe edge. Then bend your knee a little further. Now, same pulsations here with breath. Inhale, lengthen your front. Exhale, engage the core. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, engage. Good. Inhale, lengthen. This time, exhale, pivot. Turning to the left side. Check your feet. Notice pinky toe edges parallel. Then lift sitting bones on the inhale, lengthen your front. Exhale, fold in as deeply as your body needs. Little pulsations. Inhaling, lift just a little bit to lengthen the front. Exhale, fold a little further. One more this way. Full inhale. Long, deep exhale. Now take a couple big breaths here and just notice what pulses with breath. Then inhale, extend your heart. Pivot toward the front of your mat again and step all the way back onto hands and knees. And now hips to heels, take a child's pose. Full big deep inhale and exhale. Let your hips sway a little side to side if you would like to find little shifts and movements to help you find more space as you take some deep breaths. Let your inhales and exhales be your guide for pulsating, finding more space, finding the work within that space. And then settle, finding a little bit more stillness and just let the natural pulsations of breath happen. And now gently bring yourself all the way upright and come all the way down onto your sitting bones. And now feet wide. So if you want to take a sideways stance or a sideways seat on your mat, you're welcome to, so that your heels can be on something comfortable. And then from that place, if you find that your low back is rounding back, then feel free to grab your blanket and sit up on it. Or bring your legs a little bit less wide. You can narrow them. Then flex your feet, move your sitting bones, so physically shift side to side and move them back and broad. And now hands come to your upper thighs. Press your heels down so that your knees lift a little. Or if your knees are already considerably bent because of tight hamstrings, you can still press into your thighs and find more lift and length through your sides. From this place, take an inhale and lengthen your front. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold as deeply as your body is ready for. And remember that it's not about rounding the low back. It's about hinging and staying long through the spine, and even more so long through the front. So now inhale and lengthen your front. Send your heart further forward, ribs further forward. Then exhale, fold maybe a little deeper or rise up out of it a little ways. Come to the place that's right in your body. Engage the toes, toes pull back towards your knees. Inhale, lengthen your front. Exhale, find that distance for you. Seated forward folds, I think, are a great place to find that pulsation with breath that helps you to figure out where in your body you are today, what's going on for you. So as you take your next couple of breaths, you're finding those little pulsations that help you find more space, more length, more sense of what's going on. Then inhale, gently bring yourself all the way back upright. Footprints come together into a butterfly. And from this place, you get to tune into your back body. Move feet a little further away from you, especially if your low back is rounding back and you can't tilt your pelvis forward. So find where that is for you. Then take an inhale and sit tall. And again, exhale. Hinge at the hips and fold if that's in your practice. If it's not, if that makes the low back round, then stay more upright. But then pulse with breath. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale and fold. And take those pulses a few times until you come to about your depth. And then from that place, let your breath be the pulsation. Now inhale and rise all the way back up, footprints to the ground. And walk your feet away from you enough so that you have a comfortable distance to fold over your legs. So our goal here is to drape ourselves. So if that means walking your feet out a little further or pulling them back in a little closer, you get to decide. Inhale, lift up tall. Exhale, fold over your legs and wrap your arms around your legs here if you want. Or you can just let your arms rest. Chin tucks in. And from this place, mostly allow the pulsations to be your breath. You might find little shifts that naturally happen from taking a few deep breaths. Two more full breaths here. Then inhale, rise all the way back up. And now we're lowering ourselves onto our backs. And as you come down onto your back, hug knees in. And we're going to do little pulses here. And here, we're creating our own pulse of pulling the knees in toward your chest and releasing. Pull in and release a few times. Just So allowing that compression, checking out how this feels through the back body, through the hips, through the gut, whatever you're feeling here. But those compressions are a lovely thing for digestion. And now holding on to your knees, it can be behind or above, whichever feels the best. Rock a little side to side. And then make some circles in one direction. And circles in the other direction. And now make sure you have a prop handy over to the right side. Cross your left thigh over your right thigh, and then drop your legs over for a spinal twist to the right. And from this place, if your left shoulder is lifted at all, think of your shoulder blade and the ground, then inch your shoulders a little further over to the right side. So hopefully both shoulders can be down. And then cactus arms if it's comfortable. Take a full big breath and notice that your breath is a little restricted in a twist. Not trying to make it deeper than it naturally is. Take the deep breath that is and notice the natural pulsations. And now back up to center with your legs and uncross the legs. You can shimmy your shoulders back over if you had taken them to the side. And then prop over to the left side. Wrap your right thigh over the top of your left and then take your legs over to the left. And again, from that place, if your right shoulder is lifted at all, then shimmy your shoulders over a few inches toward the left side. And if both shoulders are down, go ahead and take that cactus place for yourself if that feels good. You can always take a T here, or just have your hands against your sides. But now again, notice the breath and the pulsations that happen. And then because we are very different with what organs are on each side, notice the difference in your breath here and how this feels. And now back up to center with your legs, shoulders back into center. Drop knees in together to touch and take a moment with your eyes closed to feel the pulsations of breath. And tune into what pose would be helpful for you for Shavasana to be able to settle, to be able to let the work that you've done in your body and in your mind release. Feel free to set a prop underneath your legs or simply lengthen your legs out, arms overhead or by your sides. Take some big breaths in your version of Shavasana. Begin to take a deeper breath. And add gentle movements into fingers and into toes. And as you're ready to bend your knees and roll over to your side, take a moment to feel your breath. And then gently support yourself to come back upright. Bring hands to connect at heart center. With eyes closed, take a full breath. Have a very peaceful, very beautiful day. Namaste. Thanks, everybody.